think I'm going to try this episode with no headphones.
Well, when your audio is just a disaster.
I think it's going to be fine. I can see the waves right now. I think this is good.
So when you're in a really deep conversation, you're going to be sure to glance over there.
Yeah, I'm going to glance.
But what if this is like a bomb podcast, but then your audio just ruins it and we have to can it?
Welcome everyone to the Freddie and Alyssa Show. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, like, comment, all that fun YouTube stuff. It's the season of subscriptions, so be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you're watching on Facebook, like and follow. If you're listening on a platform like iTunes and you want to give us a 5-star review, that would be awesome. Thank you so much. We've been putting out content now for 3.5 years. We're having an absolute blast. I think this is episode 166 of the Freddie and Alyssa Show. We're approaching our 3-year anniversary of the show, and so we're just really excited that you're along this journey with us, and we just appreciate you so much showing up every Wednesday and supporting the show, and we always try to bring you the most entertaining, inspirational, or educational content. So thank you so much for that. We have a really fun episode today. We have a lot of things to chit-chat about. I know. Where do you want to kick the day off? How about what you're wearing?
How about what I'm wearing?
What you're wearing.
Okay, well, I actually wore this yesterday, too. But it's just a fun little princess dress. We went to Disney Springs yesterday, which we'll get into in a minute.
Did you get that specifically so that you could be a princess at Disney?
Not really.
You just had this in your dresser.
I happened to get this.
Or in your closet.
Yeah, but I kind of knew. I was like in this new mode of, I want some princess dresses because it's really hot here.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me get some baby doll dresses. And so I got this baby doll dress, and yesterday when we were going through security, the girl was like, oh my gosh, you look like a princess. I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. Like Lady Gaga, because I think the hair.
Oh, yeah.
So now I'm Lady Gaga.
Well, you definitely have the outlandish outfits.
The outlandish?
Yeah, you have like this big orange one that's like a Cinderella dress.
Oh, the orange and pink one.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't that cute?
Yeah.
You don't like my wardrobe, honey?
I love it. Yeah, I think I'm going to get back into fashion eventually.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
What year do you think that would be?
I don't know. I think it's slowly coming. It might be 2 weeks or 2 years, but
2 weeks or 2 years. Okay, so right now, if you decided that you were going to be into fashion, what would be your outfit of choice?
Just jeans and a couple layers on top.
A couple layers?
Boots. I have everything. I just never...
In Florida?
Yeah, a couple layers. Like a hoodie.
Remember you used to wear the little skinny ties and the vest, the puffy vest, like Backstreet Boys style?
A little bit, yeah. I was more into like the jeans and the beanie in the back pocket.
Okay.
But we'll see. Right now I'm all about comfort.
Hey, comfort's a good thing. I think as you get older, you want things to all work out. You want time. You want to save your time. You want to just be comfy.
Exactly. Well, how did you enjoy Disney Springs?
Okay, Disney Springs was, for me, a blast from the past because I grew up in South Florida. So I would go there all the time when I was a kid, in my teens. And when we saw House of Blues, I about flipped because my girlfriend Brooke, who I've known, for a very, very long time, she and I in our teens used to always go there. And just the other day, she and I were talking about this and we were like, remember when we used to go to House of Blues to all those concerts? Like, I have not thought of this memory in years. And so the fact that we went and I saw that, it came up. But what's really crazy is we, in our teen years, loved punk rock bands. Like, we were always going to all the concerts, Buzz Bake Sale, Warped Tour, and we would wear our little, like, Juicy Couture mini skirts with a tank top, and maybe it was, Converse sneakers, the colorful ones, or if it was a nighttime show, maybe you would wear, like, the pointy heels. And we loved it. So for her, I think it was her 17th birthday, we went up to Orlando. We went to House of Blues. Yellow Card was playing, and she actually knew someone from the band. So they're like, yeah, come backstage. It's going to be so much fun. But the kicker is that Something Corporate was also playing, and Brooke loves Something Corporate. She loved them so much that one time when she was in high school, in her English class, the teacher was like, okay, everyone, we're doing a creative writing class. Just write something that means something to you, whatever it might be. So she was sitting there and she couldn't think of anything. So she thought of her favorite Something Corporate song called Hurricane, and she just started writing the lyrics. This is the best part. The teacher flipped out, called her, and goes, oh my gosh, you won all of these awards. You have to come read this at the slam poetry. And she was like, I didn't write it, but she didn't tell her. But back then, it was so early on that teachers didn't think to go online and look something up, which is really, really crazy. So long story short, she loves something corporate. So we're there at House of Blues. It's her 17th birthday. We're so excited. And it was really cool to be backstage because it was the first time for me, like with a band, I saw the inner workings of what goes on. And I was so amazed that even beer bottles, they were plastic. Because you got to think all these rockers, everything that goes on, they don't have glass bottles backstage. Like imagine what a mess when people are, drinking, going on stage. So I was so amazed by that. But then the cool thing is when Yellow Card was on stage, we started chatting with Something Corporate because they were all just hanging out and we were all just really getting along. They're like, you guys should totally come. You can hang out backstage on the tour bus. And we did. And they were so lovely, so nice. But the funniest thing is I guess a fan brought them this hurricane drink. It was like a mixture. And so like we mixed it with like club soda, but we were sitting there having hurricane. So I was like, how full circle is this? That she wrote the song, the essay to Hurricane. And then here we were drinking hurricanes with Something Corporate who she loved. So yeah, to go off on a tangent, passing House of Blues, I was like, all those memories just came back and it was so crazy.
So the moral of the story is that plagiarism pays off.
Yeah, you get to hang out with Something Corporate.
Yeah.
Drink hurricanes.
Or your favorite band. Maybe that was a moment in time, though, because like, you're right. Now people can just Google it or you would know. Or there's probably so many programs that teachers will put essays into and the internet will find if it's plagiarized.
Oh, you have? Yeah, because I think when I did online school for a hot minute, they would have this one website. They go, you have to get verified on this before you submit your essay. And that's exactly what it was. So you would copy and paste everything into it. And if they saw any little sentence that was plagiarized, they knew it. So back then, no one knew. But now...
That's crazy to think, though, in the English language that there's millions and millions and millions of things that are written. Billions of things that are written. Mm-hmm. And we can like organize words in a way that's always different, but saying the same thing.
Well, also, too, having a style. Like a lot of writers... Even I remember in Californication, they knew that it was Hank Moody who wrote that book.
Based on his voice,
yes, because you have a style. So that's really unique to think about, that all these different individuals have a style when they write because...
You know what comes to mind, too, is my buddy Nate, him and I wrote a lot of scripts together, and there's times I'll see skits online that he does, or I'll see different projects, and I can see his writing because I know his style.
Yeah.
Like there's a specific... symphony
yes.
to the way it's written.
Yes.
And you can see that way that he writes. You can go, oh, you wrote this, because I can tell just the beats.
Interesting.
And just the style of it.
Well, and you guys worked together for years on stuff.
We have a lot of scripts, yeah.
Like a very long time. I remember you guys would always go get together and, different movies.
That's where I learned. I learned a lot of my script writing from him because he's done it for his whole life. And it took me a while to be able to be the person who sits behind the computer and then writes. Yeah. But I was the one who always paced and worked out ideas, but he was the one doing a lot of the typing. And then we'd talk about the scene and go, what if, and then we'd improv the scene and take, oh, wait, what was that? And so we wrote that way. And it took me years before I could sit down and write on my own. So I just talk through it, then I would talk through it and write. But yeah, I like to work out the scene, and then you and I found out the beautiful thing about writing scripts is that you just have to have a template. Mm-hmm. You pick 3 to 5 movies that are similar to what you're going to make. Like for instance, if you're going to make an action film where it's an ex-CIA agent who's set up by the organization and his wife is murdered and he's going to go and kill everyone and get to the head kingpin. That movie has been done 1 million times. So just find 5 of those movies, and you don't copy the story, you copy the format. Mm-hmm. So you go, okay, so you open up, and then on scene 2, you're introduced to the character, you learn about his wife, you learn about his job. Okay, so on our script, we're going to learn about his daughter, and you're going to learn about his woodworking capabilities. Then in scene 3, you're introduced to this guy who later becomes the bad guy. So our bad guy needs to be introduced now. So what's our bad guy like? And then you start filling in your own story, but with their template, where it's basically just a questionnaire. Page 1, who is your characters? Page 2, what's something unique about them? And then you have to put dialogue in. But the hardest thing about writing a script is just knowing what's next. Mm-hmm. But once you have that, you just plug it in. and make it your own.
Well, that's, I guess, with anything in life. If there's a system and you can follow it, which is exactly what, a script structure is, it's going to work. And I think, too, if you have, like, say you're in the niche of rom-coms, if you are doing enough of them, and I mean, like, successfully, then you're going to understand the format as you keep doing them, and you're not going to have to keep looking at a structure. But if you're just starting, just look at what they do. Don't copy the story, per se. Just follow the structure. Like
you
you
just
said.
need to copy the structure.
Yeah, that's it.
You have to obviously have your own story, your own characters, your own problems, but it's just, if you watch any rom-com and you know the formula, it's going to ruin it for you. But I'm going to ruin it for you here. But they always say, like, page 70. You'll always see them getting together at a certain page. Then they have their, like, things are perfect, and page 70 is coming, which is going to be, you were writing an article about me this whole time? No, but I fell in love with you, okay? Like, everything you learned about me was real, okay? The things that we talked about, my dog and my mom and my child, that was all me. Yeah, but it was under false pretenses, and I opened up my heart to you. Just get out. And then he leaves, and then it's like this, like, 2 pages of, like, watching movies, crying, talking with the best friend, looking at that little watch that he gave you or the bear he won you at the fair during the good times. And then there's something that happens where the guy goes, wait a minute, and then he's going to change. And then he goes and wins her. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And if you want to see a true structure, watch something like the TV show House Hunters. Mm-hmm. You can't unsee it. It is identical every time, and that's how they pumped out so many episodes.
Yeah.
You look at it, and you go, they're going to do an opening, they're going to do this, then they have that one scene where they go and talk about it, where they go and sit at a bar or a restaurant, they either get coffee or wine, and they go, all right, so what'd you think about House 1? Well, the things and they recap it. It is a formula, and you just plug it in. So it's all structure.
Everything. I was even watching this Hallmark movie last night. I think it's called In My Dreams. It was with Catherine McPhee. And, it's a Hallmark film. So I kind of know what I'm getting myself into. But literally, I was sitting there watching it, and I go, man, things are going good. Things are going to, page 70 is coming. And of course they do. And then, of course, it's a happy ending. But you kind of know going into it. You go, I know I'm going to get this. I know what I'm getting. But I like that. Like when you watch action films, you know what you're getting. But you like that.
Well, we just finally figured out that is what it is. Action films, to me, is your rom-coms. Like, I'm not interested in the rom-com, like, essence.
No.
Like, watching just 2 different people with, like, made-up jobs. Not to say that people don't work in advertising agencies or newspapers, but it's, like, always this cubicle thing, and it's, like, the newest, like, if it's 2014, that office is the elite 2014 design of 2014. But you're going to see like all of that stuff, and it's just like boring to me. But action films, it's always a different fight sequence. It's always jumping on a plane, going underwater, like all this fighting and motorcycles. And it's like, it's the same formula, but I get lost in it because I don't know how to do that. So being in the industry, it helps me watch an action film. Like, first of all, I don't know how to fight. Second of all, I don't know how are they shooting him running down a side of a building? How are you blowing up helicopters in the middle of Times Square? So I'm kind of like enjoying the fact that I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
A rom-com or a horror film or a drama, we can go shoot. We know how to do that. Action, I'm still a little kid going, oh, wow. And I want to be the lead guy.
Do that? Oh, always, honey. With action films, I feel for me, I used to, if I was going to watch them, I'd used to like to see it in a theater because you get that big experience. You can't really do that now. So if I watch it now, I'm just like, okay.
Well, maybe that's why you don't care, though. You don't see yourself as Tom Cruise. You don't want to jump on a helicopter. You don't want to fight 6 guys in the back of the bar. Yeah, like you don't have interest.
I just like the da-da-da-da-da.
They've been doing more female action films.
Like what?
Peppermint. It was really good with, she was married to Ben Affleck, Jennifer Gardner.
Oh, yeah. She's been really good in all those.
She's really good.
Yeah.
I just watched Kate Beckinsale and Jessica Biel in Total Recall with Colin Farrell.
Is that older?
They were believable to me. So yeah, some guys and girls aren't believable. I feel like they just I was like, you're just like trying to be action people, but there's some people that just, I believe it.
I was trying to think of her name the other day. She's so freaking famous. She's the tall, blonde girl. I told her one time, oh, you're hot, Bia.
Oh, yeah, Charlize Theron.
Yes.
She's great.
She's an excellent
action star.
Yes.
Angelina Jolie.
Yeah. You know what's funny? For women in action, they have to be tall. For some reason, I believe them more. All those people you just said, Kate Beckinsale, Angelina Jolie,
Charlize Theron.
they're all like,
Jennifer Gardner.
yeah,
Is she tall?
Gardner. I think she's
Gardner?
like 5'9".
Hey Siri, how tall is Jennifer Gardner?
Jennifer Garner is 5 feet 8 inches tall.
Yeah. Isn't that,
No
yeah,
way.
They all are.
Hey Siri, how tall is Angelina Jolie?
Angelina Jolie is 5 feet 7 inches tall.
Yeah.
Hey Siri, how tall is Charlize Theron?
Charlize Theron is 5 feet 10 inches tall.
Yeah. I don't know what it is.
Hey Siri, how tall is Kate Beckinsale?
Kate Beckinsale is 5 feet 7 inches tall.
It's at least 5'7" and up. Isn't that crazy?
Hey Siri, who are the top female action stars?
Okay, I found this on the web for who are the top female action stars.
Jennifer Garner, Mila Jovovich. What is she in? The Fifth Element? I've never seen that.
She does a lot.
Oh, Resident Evil.
Yes. What's her height?
I don't know. We have to look her up. I don't know how to say her last name though. Jovovich.
I thought it was Djokovic.
It's joke, but I think
Hey
Yo's like.
Siri, how tall is Mila Djokovic? She's 5'9".
This is crazy. How about Zoe Zaldana?
Oh, she's tall for sure, at least 5'8". Ask Siri.
Hey Siri, how tall is Zoe Zaldana?
Zoe Saldana is 5 feet 7 inches tall.
You just cracked it.
I know these things.
But then there's guys that get away, like Jason Statham and Tom Cruise are 5'7", and it's okay.
I know. I just think for some reason women on screen when they're taller, I don't know what it is.
Wow.
But you're right though. For the men, like Tom Cruise is.
But when you have like Chris Hemsworth or Dwayne Johnson,
Sure.
it's kind of like I wouldn't
What
believe
about
that
Wonder Woman? What's her
Gal
name?
Gadot, she's 5'9".
Right?
Yep. Michelle Rodriguez, I don't know how tall she is, but she's just a badass in general. Pam Grier? Who's Pam Grier? Foxy Brown? I never saw that. Michelle Yeoh.
Gal Gadot's 5'10".
Linda Hamilton. Linda Hamilton's Terminator. Who's Michelle Yeoh? I don't know Michelle Yeoh. Michelle Yeoh, Kate Beckinsale.
Isn't that interesting?
Zhang Zi. I don't know how to pronounce her name. Yeah, it's that's a really interesting observation.
The more you know.
Well, you're 5'7".
I know. Looks like I'm the next action star.
I would get a divorce if you became an action star and I was the funny guy in the Office reboot that sits in the corner and can't wait for the pie to come on Wednesdays.
I'm like, yo, babe, guess what I learned? Stage combat today.
Doing somersaults and dude, Keanu Reeves, I believe him as an action star too. There's a lot of Expendables were great. Action to me is just a true fantasy where everything else just doesn't. I also like movies like The Big Short, Wolf of Wall Street, like the building of an empire or the fall of one. Matthew McConaughey.
I do think, though, and that's what shows, like, there are differences between men and women. Because I like those movies, too. I totally do. But for me, if I just want to unwind, I'm like, let me just put something easy on. Let's put on this easy rom-com. I don't have to get my blood spiked.
Yeah.
But for you, you would rather watch action. That's like your comfort.
Uh-huh.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, it just has to go with your personality. There's a lot. There's I want to say he's a clinical psychologist. That's not right. Jordan Peterson, who's like the world-renowned internet guru. Lot of controversy around him. But the thing he talks about most is that he has studied his entire life the personalities and personality traits of people. So he explains a lot of the things that we fight about in our country, from the pay gap to genders to all this stuff. But his whole take is through personalities, how men and women are different. Like there was one about like women are more agreeable most women are more agreeable, and that trait creates less asking for like raises. Or women are more drawn to things like nursing, just based on, because some people will say the STEM field of like science and tech and math, there's not enough women. But he's saying personality wise, men are more driven naturally towards engineering, science, tech, and math, where women are more driven towards like healthcare, nursing, teaching. Like there's just a different personality. Not all,
of course.
But he breaks it down. I'm butchering this genius man, but his basic whole thing is that there's traits in people depending on if you're a man or a woman, and most of the time, that's the reason why we do the things we do. And I know that working with people, like I have a different feeling when I sit down and know that I'm going to talk to a man or I'm going to talk to a woman on an interview, or we're going to hire someone, or if it's a casting director, or if it's a boss.
Yeah.
Like even the energies when I was at Days of talking to the female producer, I felt different than talking to the male producer. Like I felt the female producer was always going to be like, if she had some news to deliver, it was going to be in a more kind way. Where anytime I got news from a producer who was a male, it was more direct and like they cared.
Sure.
But it wasn't as like, there's just a difference. If I had to ask for time off and they're always like, oh yeah, Janet's up there right now. I was like, oh yeah, I'll go right now and ask.
Right.
Like it was just like, or if you're going to hire somebody.
But you got to think too.
There's just a different energy of
men and women. But biologically, you got to think a woman can carry a baby, for 9 months, gives birth. You have that natural nurturing gene in you. Men, you guys don't know what that's like. You never will.
We're just here to protect.
Yeah, but that's just what you want to do. You want to take care of your family.
I think we have bigger egos too.
100.
Like we have to win. We have to compete, and there's like this.
Yeah, I got it. And I say this so kindly, but I feel like men are a little bit more babies than women. Like, oh, I'm sick. I have a flu. I'm so ill. Help me.
Really?
You 100%. Throughout my life, just things I've seen. Let me know in the comments if you agree.
So the women are stronger when it comes to that?
We birth babies.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's...
Y'all would freak out.
But you have to have some sort of pain tolerance difference, obviously, because we'll never experience that kind of pain.
Of course. No, not like that.
I can't imagine.
Like, women who give natural births, I am like, I could never. Unless, that's always been one of my biggest fears, because I think... This is what the movies have told me. If you wait too long, like say my water breaks and I don't get to the hospital on time, and by the time I'm there, I'm dilating, the baby's got to come, and it's too late for me to get an epidural, then you have to give the birth naturally. Like there's a specific time.
Window that you have to...
Yeah. So, I mean, most women, it doesn't happen like that.
Here's a question then. If you get the epidural... I've never seen a difference, again, just watching movies. The natural birth and the epidural birth, it's still the woman with their bangs glued to their face with sweat, screaming. So it's like, does it help?
There's no pain, but you still have to push. So when they're telling you
to push...
They're in
pain. That's the whole joke where the guy gets his hand crushed and he drops to his knees and goes, ow.
But I think because they're telling you, push. Like, let me give
it's pain.
Let me give you a story really quick. My mom gave... birth to my sister naturally. So, my sister and I are a little different. Then my mom told me that she got an epidural for me, and she goes, when you came into this world, I was laughing. I was saying to the doctor, am I pushing? So imagine the difference.
So is this all just cinema?
Of course
that's
it is.
Giving us a false narrative?
Or maybe in cinema, they didn't get the epidural. Like, that's what I feel like I've seen and why I brought it up, because it's these women who are like, it's too late for the epidural.
Oh, so maybe they say that so they can have a dramatic scene that's more interesting to watch than like, I get some coffee. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't like cream. I'm so sorry. If I wasn't giving birth, just no cream, please. Just black, which I asked the first time. I'm sorry. I'm just giving birth.
But then I think, too, it's got to be a draining experience, and everyone's different. Because my sister was in labor for, I think, like 20 hours. So it's just a thing, you don't know. Everyone's different. And my sister had an epidural, but it's still draining on your body. giving birth.
My God.
More on that later when we know, because I don't know. I have no experience, obviously.
Yeah, that's going to be just so interesting. It's the one thing though. I feel like you and I have adventured out a lot in life. We really I got really big into like asking questions. That was one of my favorite sub chapters in our book. I don't think it was an actual chapter, but one of the things to live by is just be nice, ask questions. You can't go wrong with that formula. Just be nice and ask questions. And I've always done that, especially the past 6 years. Like we even had a Zoom on Sunday, and I'm genuinely interested in what people do for a living. And I'm curious because you're going to learn something.
Yeah.
Like, what's it like working from home? What's it like doing that job? What do you like about it? Why do you like it? By asking and genuinely wanting to know, you start gaining more perspective so that when you do touch on topics or have interesting conversations, you have things to pull from.
Yep.
Oh, I have a friend who had a baby. This is why about the epidural. Or this person has a 2-year-old. We have 8 people who have 2-year-olds right now. And you ask all of them their similarities and their differences. Mm-hmm. So the more you ask, yes, I don't know what it's like to be a dad. But if you talk to enough people, you can get an understanding.
Sure. And I feel like for us, all at once, we had people in our life who had babies. Mm-hmm. Like there was just a big fluctuation. And so we've talked to everyone and we're learning and we're getting an idea. But
until we do, though, it's hard for us to speak on it. It's the one thing that, more than half of the people you meet have an experience that we can't relate to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's so that's going to be really interesting because now that you're like married and once you have a kid, you're just kind of like, oh, like now we have all this in common with just the person you meet.
Yep.
Where you're like, oh, you have kids too. Everyone kind of he's 2 years old, he's 2, right? Oh, just wait till 3 or whatever. Yeah, all that small talk.
Can I just bring up my favorite thing? So we had your goddaughter's baptism and it was through Zoom, but I was cracking up because in the beginning, everyone's on the Zoom, we're all watching and they're at the church. But Mila, who is Harlow's sister, so your goddaughter's sister, who's almost 3, right before we were getting started, it was like it was written from a scene. She just kept running.
Right in front of the camera.
I was laughing.
Then had to go to the bathroom after they started.
Children are the funniest little creatures ever because they're just kind of like learning and figuring life out.
They did some sort of study where they had an Olympic runner maybe or Olympic someone in the Olympics followed around a toddler and mimicked everything they did for the day. And you would just be so surprised on how draining you would, if you followed everything a toddler did. Like if you and I, when Mila was doing that, had to run with her and then jump up on the pew and then down and then roll around and then jump up and then run and then walk up the stairs and then, but like all day long, like we would probably burn 5.
So was the Olympic athlete, they were exhausted after?
I think that was the whole thing. I heard that a long time ago, so I don't remember the details, but that'd be an interesting study of kids. But I think maybe that's why when we were kids, like I never grew up caring about what you ate, and I was always skinny because I think we were just like, if I think about, I don't think I've ever in a week done what I used to do in a day as a kid who was like 14 even.
Yeah.
Like you would go to school all day, you would go to basketball practice for 3 hours, you would come home, then you'd go meet up with your friends outside, you'd play football, you'd go build the fort, you'd go on a swing, you'd come home at 9:30 at night. Like you were just always just moving.
Yeah.
And so that's why I ate whatever. Like you could eat chips and Taco Bell and ice cream.
I think too, that's why when you're younger, like in your early 20s, you can drink and still wake up and go do stuff because you have that young energy. But once you hit 30, you can't do that anymore. Like there's got to be a correlation of as you get older, that energy just kind of goes away.
There's something. I don't know what it is, but there's a distinct difference.
Huge.
But
It's just energy. And you growing up. But you would also think too, it's crazy that we start seeing aging signs at 30. Because 30 is young.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
I think this is the biggest misconception. 30 is young. Mm-hmm. Yes. But your gift, your miracle gift of youth itself disappears. Mm-hmm. Whatever that like extra little like Tinkerbell that's rolling around inside of you, giving you this like energy as a youthful person.
Well, because you've also lived life a little bit to be burned a little bit by that age. At 30, everyone's gone through some sort of tragedy or trial and tribulation, like something.
I think there's something like biologically that changes.
Well, that too.
Because I feel 100% young. I don't feel any different, but I'm saying the youthfulness. But also, remember when we did our, I won't say where we did this just in case, but there was somebody who told us that when they went on their honeymoon, that they drank for 7 days straight like an idiot, but was never hungover. And we were talking about that with our wedding, that we didn't really actually drink much our wedding night, but we didn't sleep much. And there was like a 3-day period where when we did like drink the next day, you're such high on adrenaline that you aren't sick. It's like this weird thing that if you're on vacation and you wake up and you're on the beach, you have this elated, or if you wake up Christmas morning, there's just something about that. I think maybe that runs in you higher when you're a kid. And then once you then get into real life where you're like, I can't even, like, I got things to do. There's responsibility. Like maybe we just had no responsibility or very little responsibility. But
that's
you just
what
have
I'm
more
saying
natural
too.
adrenaline or something.
With the natural,
or you're hopeful.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, I've never been to this restaurant. I've never been to a nightclub. Like everything was new. And then once you just like do everything in life, by the time you're 30, you're just kind of like, oh yeah, I mean.
But that's what I'm trying to say about natural endorphins. When you're young, most things, like you said, there's no responsibility. You don't have to worry about real life. You're just like, oh yeah, I'm in school. Oh, my teacher sucks. I don't want to do my homework. That's your main issue.
Yeah.
Obviously every situation's different, but as a kid, sometimes like it's a different life and you have your whole life ahead of you. Then in your 20s, it's your time to kind of dip your toe in the water, explore a little bit, and you might go, oh, I don't like this, or oh, this is hard, or oh, this isn't for me. And you just naturally, it's adulthood. It's adulting. It just is what it is. You have to have responsibility and grow up. And then if you bring kids into the mix, that's a whole new responsibility too.
Yeah.
Which is why I think biologically our bodies are able to have kids young, because I think when you hit a certain age, you're not able to run around the house and chase that toddler. But when you're young, you can.
You don't have to sleep much.
Yeah, you can. Oh my God, that's the one thing a lot of my friends say when you have a baby, the first couple years, if your baby doesn't sleep. I've had a couple who have had good sleepers, but it's all different.
Yeah. I really think a lot of it is just is hope. I think it's not hope, but like blind optimism. It's you haven't got punched by life enough to be, because I think that was the biggest difference when I was young. Like the first time like somebody like effed you over, you were kind of like stunned. But you were like, oh, okay, that was just a weird person. Then you start realizing like, oh, people are like kind of crappy. And then you start seeing things of like, oh, this seems too good to be true. Where when as a kid, you're like, we're doing it. You're like, oh. So I think
it is.
It is. So I think you just start getting more heady as you get older with experience, because you're like, this person's sketchy. This person's going to steal from you. This person, this is too good to be true. The price is too low on this. This is not. And so it's like you start getting a real idea of the world and the challenges. Yeah. When we were young, any idea, we were like, this is great and it's going to work, because we had nothing to compare it to. Where now we think about, we're going to go tackle something. We go, well, what can all go right? But what could go wrong, and how do we mitigate it going wrong? So things are different. But I also think you just have to work harder to stay motivated when it comes to your body, your health, and your like hopes and dreams as you get older.
Yeah.
But it's way more rewarding in your 30s because we know who we are.
Sure.
Like in my 20s, I still didn't really know who I was. So it's like now everything we're doing, I feel like it's not just like natural. Like I bump out of bed and I'm like, I have that, but you have to like work at being more motivated in your 30s.
Of course.
But it's more sweet.
Isn't it interesting too to think about that saying, like mom or dad knows best, is so true, because most parents have lived through it. They've seen it. They've done it. And this young kid, like you're just saying, everything's working. I'm going to try that. The parents know. They go, we've been down this road. Or the mom might go, don't go for that person because I know that type of person. They're going to not be good for you. Like people don't change. It's just like new generations breed the same type of people no matter what it is.
The human behavior doesn't change.
Exactly.
Like I even heard one day, I overheard somebody saying like, yeah, like I'm kind of like dating this guy right now, but like he didn't write back after. Like I was just overhearing this thing. I go, the fact that you're even thinking that there's something here just shows your age. Mm-hmm. And that's what I think people mean. I was like 30 when I heard it. This person was like 20. And I was like, I didn't say anything because it's none of your business, you know. But
like, that's not
I just wanted to
work.
say, I'm so sorry. I heard this for 2 minutes. Don't ever respond to this guy ever again.
Yep.
Just don't. He is either doing something else with somebody else. He's only going to come back to you when that something else doesn't work and then wants somebody. And he's going to woo you, and then he's going to go do that again. And you're going to constantly go back and forth thinking that, and you're going to fall in love with him, but he's just kind of doing it, and you're going to get hurt. So save the time, cut it off now, hurt for 2 weeks, go find someone better.
It's true, though.
But people are like, no, you don't understand. It's like, I do, but go ahead and do it. I don't know what happened. I don't think they're together anymore.
Shocker. Oh, my gosh. Well, it's really funny how this conversation snowballed because we started on Disney Springs, which I want to know. That wasn't your first time there because we actually went there with your cousins before. But what did you think about it, and what was your favorite part?
Well, the interesting part is that when we were there in the past, it was like after the Super Bowl in the streets.
Yeah.
I have never been in a place, this was like 5 years ago, that was so packed. To the point that when you told me we had a turkey leg here, I go, whoa. Because it was so busy that I would never have recognized it. Yep. But once I then started seeing it all came back to me. Now in February in 2021, there was nobody there. You could drive a four-wheeler around and it would be just fine. I really enjoyed the fact that they had, organization. Everyone was super nice. They have masks. They even have a vending machine of masks if you don't bring one. They do temperature checks. They've got the weight 6 feet apart. Everything's clean. The loudspeakers are reminding you to keep your mask on. The only thing you can't do is drink or eat while walking, which is kind of a bummer because if you're having a coffee, like I had to go and sit on a bench anytime you wanted to drink coffee, so they don't want people walking around without their mask drinking.
I appreciate that, though.
Which is nice. And then we went to a restaurant and we got to eat and we just sat outside. So the whole thing for me is I was like, is this going to be safe? And it was awesome. Like I'm totally going back. I want to go and see like everything about it. And but yeah, I mean, I get it. But I also guess I just don't know. Like you kind of just like, it's just something to do.
Yeah.
Like it's just kind of cool. It's like a mall that is outdoors that also has like cool Lego creatures and Cinderellas and like fake alligators.
Yeah, you like that at Rainforest Cafe. My whole thing was, we haven't really been out much at all. So us doing this, I was just kind of like, okay, let's see how it is. And I felt so confident when you first get there. There's this huge security area. And like you said, temperature checks, a big vending machine with masks. And, they just wanted to make sure everyone was okay. And then what made me feel really good, though, is when we were walking outside, everyone was very much following the rules. You know what I mean? Like people were really good. And then granted, it's Disney, so people came on the loudspeakers. They're like, make sure you have your masks on, which everyone did. But then once I got there and we were outside, I just felt really good being there. And I even told you this, I liked hearing the music, having the scenery, just kind of having a slice of normalcy, but in a really great, safe way. But I feel like since you're not a Disney fan, maybe you don't care as much about like the princess. I mean, we weren't in the theme park, so it's different.
I mean, it's great. I'm just saying when it's like other than visually stimulated.
Yeah.
It's not like there's nothing to do. Like you walk around and you look at things, but there's like a Zara. There's a Starbucks. It's like an outdoor mall, which I didn't know what to expect. And it's kind of like Universal City Walk.
A little bit, yeah.
You're visually stimulated by the big gorilla.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God, this big candy store. Or there's like those donuts that we had, which were awesome.
From
So the
Everglades.
experience is fun. For me, who I didn't know
What to
expect. It's just like an outdoor mall. And I enjoyed being out since I haven't done anything. So I do want to go back and I want to go explore. And I felt good, like you said, eating. And
yeah, we were
and
the
I want
only
to go to the
people outside.
Rainforest Cafe. That's not what it's called.
Yeah, it is Rainforest
Yeah?
Cafe. So
Can we go back there like Friday?
I'm down.
Because it's free parking.
It's free parking, and
No ticket.
This is what else
Oh,
is.
it's free.
Yeah. So if you're just going there to go hang out, it's like, well, City Walk actually, you do have to pay for parking, like a lot.
Like $20.
Yeah. No, but here, and this is something that I've loved doing since I was a kid, is just kind of going and looking at stores. Now, I don't mean like a Zara and all that kind of stuff. I mean like the really specific ones. Like I saw there was a Christmas store, and I was like, this is so
Did you go in
cool.
it?
Of course. Do you watch my stories, babe?
I flick through.
You were running around getting all of this footage, and that's when you were with the alligator at Rainforest Cafe. But I love, they have all these unique different stores, like Disney related, just stuff that I like to do. You know, I love to look around and shop and whatnot. But at Rainforest Cafe, I used to always go there with my mom when I was a kid, and I would always get the ribs. And I don't think I've had ribs ever in my life since Rainforest Cafe. So maybe we'll go there and I'll get the ribs.
I think we should go. We got to go like in the afternoon. Maybe Friday's not the best day. I feel like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday will be busy. Maybe we'll go like next Tuesday or something.
Yeah.
But the Rainforest Cafe has great food. The ambiance is cool.
Yes.
Like that's cool. Like I want to go do something like that. But yeah, I think it was a good place to start. Mm-hmm. We left Benji home.
We did, and he did so good.
He did so good.
So back in October was when we first tried to leave him the very first time. And we set up the Nest camera, and the second you and I got in the car, he was howling, he was crying, and we were just like, turn around, we got to get back to him. Since then, I feel like we've been training him a little bit. Like I would leave for 5 minutes, I would leave for 20, I'd go out and run. And every time I did, I made sure that he knew I was leaving, because I think that's what scared him the first time. We gave him food and then we left.
Yeah.
And he was like, where's my family? You know, and we were newly moved into this new place. So this time he knew we were leaving. You left first, because if we both left at the same time, he might freak out. And you were watching on the Nest for like the first 20 minutes when we left. And he didn't cry, not once, but he just sat there the whole time by the door, waiting for his parents.
But he was good.
He was so good.
So I left like 5 minutes early, and then I just left Alyssa with him, and then you did your whole like finger up, like I'll be right back.
Yeah.
So he just laid by the door, but it really helped.
Because when we were even out, we were like, man, can you imagine if we had him right here? We wanted to sit outside, but they're looking at you like.
But it's just to go out and have fun with masks is tough enough.
Totally.
Listening to rules, keeping your distance, you're already not able to just
live in the moment. Yeah.
And then on top of that, to have Benji, who's not allowed in most places, who's barking, who wants out, who you have to, and watching people. And on top of it, we're then shooting TikToks, YouTube videos, Instagram stories, trying to get the shot while holding him, while staying away. You can't do it.
No.
It's already tough enough.
Yeah.
Like, even having a camera bag and coffee and trying to work during these times
was
difficult.
Yeah.
So that's why we even learned too, because we were like, oh, let's go there and get a lot of different content for different places, and it just can't be done. You can't go there for professional photos, Instagram Reel, Instagram Story, Instagram Grid, TikTok.
Because the reason behind that is when you're doing TikTok, when you're doing YouTube, you have to shoot horizontally or vertically, which you're like, wait, what was I shooting? Why am I getting this footage? Oh, I was making a TikTok. Oh, wait, no, we need to get a picture. Let's find a good. It was just too much. Like too many different platforms. You're like, you just got to pick one or maybe two.
Well,
and that's it.
It really taught me, though, that the creative process is so much more. Like, I always knew it was more, but when we tried to do everything at once, I distinctly this is what makes, I believe, content good, is the story and the through line that you create in your head, and you're constantly scanning for the perfect thing. So if we only went there to take pictures for your Instagram.
Yeah.
My creative mind is on with the camera. Where is a good shot for her? Where are the people not at? That's good. Where's the sun? It's behind the clouds. There's perfect lighting. Go here. Click, click, click. All right, that's good. Now she has this one. That'll work. But now I know those colors and that background. So we can't do here. It's too similar. The sun's there now. We have to move here. You need all of that capacity to get 2 or 3 good Instagram grid videos. You can't at the same time, while trying to put that together, think of a TikTok and something for the vlog. I was using the example. It'd be like if Steven Spielberg, while shooting an A-list film, had to also go do TikToks and photos. You're in your mind the whole time. If you're there for a vlog, that's all you're thinking about. So we learn that we can't do all. Unless we do 2, which we should, where we go there in the first 2 hours, you shoot the vlog. Then you have lunch to like relax, enjoy. Then you go shoot pictures.
Yep.
Then you leave. And then you go back to do Instagram stories are easy because that doesn't take, you're not crafting a story.
You're just documenting.
You're just documenting, and it doesn't need, with a TikTok, with a YouTube vlog or Facebook vlog, you need a through story that keeps people interested in watching the video. Just seeing what we're doing on Instagram stories does not take creativity.
No, but I think too what made it a little difficult to shoot for all these different platforms is it was our first time there in a long time. So we walked in not having any idea that if you go this way, this is where the House of Blues and the restaurants are. If you go this way, it's, you know, more of the shops and cool Disney stuff. We had no idea. So we were kind of just experiencing it as patrons, just walking around enjoying it. But then we're like, oh wait, no, let's shoot that. Oh, let's get that. We didn't have like a content creation plan scheduled type thing. We didn't really know. So there was that. And then also too, we were just shooting for all these different platforms, which, and then on top of that, the one I was doing was the 4-course meal challenge, which that included a lot of, oh, we have to stop here and get this. Oh, we have to stop here and get this. It wasn't just like a normal, like, oh yeah, let's show this. There was a lot that went into it.
Yeah. It was really a dose of, you know, and I'm really excited because I'm going to make a video. I even, my cousin, Cherie wrote me and she's like, oh my God, she's like, you were at Disney, like what's gotten into you? And I was like, well, we were there to shoot videos. And she was like, well, what do you, so like, I hope today, if I have enough energy at the end of the day, I want to make that video of what is content creation and how do people make money and how does it work? Yeah. Because I think a lot of it, you know, if you're just like, oh, you make money from views and like it, I want to really explain it. Yeah. And it's a real, it's a business. It's a true business. You know, it's like if you and I were going to make our own wine and we were at the distillery or the grape vineyard and we were like, oh my God, like you have to have the perfect grapes. And like, but if these grapes have a little of this in it and the sun's not hitting it or the water's not good, but if it's this tall or if the wind's blowing this way, it doesn't work if they're not done in 14 days. And people are like, oh my God, like that's so interesting. Like, wow. But if you're talking about content, you're like, oh, you couldn't get a picture without the sun in your eyes? Oh, you couldn't get a video? Like there's a lot of that. Yeah. And I don't know the disconnect between like why there's like a stigma on, which I don't care. I find it more interesting and I'm trying to enlighten people on like people aren't just like taking a picture and then you just like pay them millions of dollars. It's like there's an art for 99% of people, like acting. Yeah. Very few people stumble out into LA and go, oh, I'm sorry, is this the gym? They're like, no, it's the casting office for the next Steven Spielberg film and you look great. Here's $1 million. All right. It's more likely people are out there for 11 years struggling before they get their big break. Sure. Same thing with content creation. But I want to bring light and get rid of the stigma of like the influencer or like going viral, so self-fulfilling. It's like, no, there is a beautiful, amazing business that's never, there's nothing easier, which is not the right word, but nothing easier than content creation as a business. If you were to put any kind of business you could ever think of on a board, content creation as a business is the easiest in the sense of the working parts of it. But 2 things. That's to us because we enjoy creating. Some people might not be creative and they go, oh my God, I have no idea what I'd shoot. Yeah. So that to us, it's because we enjoy it. You know what I'm saying?
However, I feel like the stigma too, because you kept bringing that up. There is this account I follow called Influencers in the Wild. And you can imagine, but it's people capturing just ridiculous people taking ridiculous photos. Like that's the stigma of just like crazy stuff, and not crazy stuff to get the most amazing shot. You're just like, really? And that's where the stigma comes from.
Or the idiot people who during the protests would go and grab a drill and pretend that they're helping rebuild a business just for the photo.
Yes.
But it's the same reason of why people have bad taste in their mouth about real estate or about network marketing.
Totally.
Or about online courses or about acting or about singing or about agencies, or the list goes on, because there's always going to be a percentage of people who are dirtying the industry.
Yeah.
Like how many producers, like there's a lot of things being talked about in Hollywood. Like producers are like, you know, they abuse their power, and there's all this. I'm sure there's a lot, but there's also a lot of really good people who are just normal, nice, awesome people who aren't taking advantage. But my point is, when I use the word easy, is it's not that I'm choosing it because it's easier. I appreciate how many fewer working parts there are, because you and I have created a product. We have sold a product. We have done network marketing. We have done different businesses. And in comparison, now the one thing I've never done is released a building and sold cupcakes or something out of it, which I can only imagine is on the hardest business you will ever do.
So many working parts.
With content creation, you get the exact same experience of creating, of marketing, of sales, of everything. And it's just a handful of people, and everything is digital. And the product that you're selling or marketing is entertainment.
Yep.
People get to, most of the time, watch it for free. So it's not like, oh, we're sending out this new cell phone called the iFreddie, and people are like, oh, it doesn't hook up to my Wi-Fi. I need a refund. I don't like the way the buttons feel. This one's defected. The shipping was late. The customer service was rude. The manufacturing shut down. The shipping shut down. The new law and regulations in place that it can't. Apple suing you for a thing. The apps won't work. I mean, the list goes on.
Yeah.
Making a cupcake store. The ingredients. How much are the ingredients? Now the distributor doesn't know. Now the manufacturer doesn't do this flavor. Now we just found out that this red dye is not healthy. Now we have to recall. Now the zoning. Now the C word hit, and now our business is shut down. Now they're building a parking garage across the street. Now my billboard isn't being seen. Now the market. It's like, with content creation, you take a video and you shoot it, you edit it, and you put it out for people to consume for free. So the product doesn't have any of those working parts, but you still get the fire inside of building a business.
Yeah, but then the building the business end is all the emails and getting, deals and handling that and making sure you're paid and making sure you have enough for every video and, just attaching it creatively. Oh, what would work for this? Oh, what's this brand want from us? Oh, what could we do? There are different working parts, but to me, they're better working parts. Things I enjoy more and I appreciate more.
Well, it was the whole saying from Eric Worre, and when we were in network marketing, he goes, network marketing is not perfect. It's just better than a portion. If you're the type of person that wants sales and marketing, it's not perfect. It's better.
Yep.
Because there's like no ceiling. There's room to, if you're into that. Same thing with content creation. It's not perfect, but it's better.
Well, and even in network marketing, which was interesting, there was always a main headquarter company that did, the shipping, that handled the whole back office, all of that, the payment. Like if you were someone who you're like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, but you don't want to do traditional, I understand that statement. It's not perfect. It's better because you don't have to deal with any of that stuff.
You're yet again, the network marketing system is mitigating the risk, because they're handling everything I just talked about of Kathy's cupcakes.
Yep.
They're doing that. You get to do the fun marketing and sales portion, but you're still working with hundreds of people. You're still dealing with a physical product that people may or may not like. The shipping, there's a lot to it. So it's just really, really interesting that this field has now come about, because it literally is traditional entrepreneurship and acting have smashed together and created content creation, which is exactly like if I was in high school and someone's like, what do you want to do for a living? It is content creation. It
But
is
you didn't know back
exactly-
then because it wasn't a
didn't
thing.
exist.
That's crazy.
It is the perfect ingredients of like a Cobb salad. Like every little thing in it
Yeah.
makes it so good, and that's what content creation is for me.
But you want to hear something crazy? Back when we were in high school, everything that we do did not exist.
No.
Podcasting, content creation, Instagram influencing, fashion blogging, like none of that existed. That's wild. What's
Yeah.
going to happen in 10 more years?
Well, I have to do more research on this, but there's and just a ton. Like we thought that we were saying goodbye. Like we're all nostalgic about growing up in the early 2000s or the 90s. Like it's going to be that was 25 years ago.
Crazy.
It took 25 years for us to feel the world is no longer like that. It's going to take just 10 next time, 5 next time, then every year. Because the technology, Mark Cuban literally was saying, he goes, when AI is actually in our world, he goes, it is going to change our lives more drastically than the internet and social media ever could.
Oof.
That's a big statement.
Yeah.
Because we're used to social media. There
Yeah.
was literally a time, think about it, in 1995, none of this existed.
Yep.
Think about how much we spend all of our time in the internet. You're either watching Netflix, you're on a computer program, you're on the internet, you're on your cell phone, you're on your AirPods, you're on an app, you're on Instagram, you're on TikTok, you're working from Zoom. Everything, none of this existed, and it is our whole world now. So once we move into virtual reality in 10 years, we are going to spend almost all of our time in it.
Yeah.
Because how much do we really spend on our computers and on our cell phones today?
I mean, we were listening to something, I can't remember, maybe you will, but they said that we're already part cyborg because we're always on our phones. Like, this is attached to everyone.
Yes.
Like, if you have any downtime, even when I went to let him out, once we had started the pod, I came back up, you were on TikTok. You're not going to just sit here in your thoughts and go,
And you also check the weather. We just checked with Siri. We checked all the
heights of all the
heights.
women.
So I'm saying I don't mean that you're sitting alone in your bed on TikTok for 6 hours, but I mean you zooming at work, you being watching a Netflix thing, a movie, everything. We are not here.
Yeah.
Being here in the real world is sitting with a friend having a cup of coffee for an hour, or laying out in the sun, or shoveling the driveway, or being out and camping. That's life.
Yep.
We're way more virtual,
Yeah.
and we're not submersed yet, but we're kind of.
Yeah.
In 10 years, we will be submersed, and it's going to
Contact
be more exciting
lenses.
because there are all these different. And another thing too with like blockchain, that's going to be the better internet, and then they're going to rebuild everything we do now, but on the blockchain in a safer way. It's the same thing with Elon Musk going to Mars. They're going to redo Earth up there.
Crazy.
But I don't know if it's going to be better. It's going to be friggin' different, I'll tell you that. But with the blockchain, with everything that's coming in the future, money's going to change. There's going to be, like, I even heard Facebook might have their own crypto. Like, there's going to be where people are paying with digital currencies, and different companies are going to have that. And then I've heard a lot about NFTs, which we have to do research on. It's non-fungible tokens. And Gary Vee was basically in the one little clip, but I seen Logan Paul already made like millions of dollars on one. They're not real coins, but they're having value based on their scarcity, kind of like how Supreme built their whole brand off of scarcity. Just like how there's not an unlimited amount of Bitcoin, so that's what gives it value. There's not an unlimited amount of beachfront property in Malibu, which gives that value. So NFTs, from my understanding, are something digital that is scarce that people are going to trade, and it's going to have value. Because Gary goes, well, it's not real. He's like, but how valuable are blue check marks to people on Instagram? But they're not real.
But here's my question to you, because even when everything just happened in Texas with the snowstorm, I remember reading and seeing a lot about, obviously all of the power was out. So when you were going to different stores to get water, to get food, they only accepted cash because they had no power. So if we're a digital world and everything crashes, how are people going to be able to get goods? Like, that's the only thing until there's a foolproof way, like, that things can't crash.
But I also think credit cards and debit cards. Hey Siri, When was the first credit card available to the public?
Okay, I found this on the web for when was the first credit card available to the public.
The first
Check it
charge card was issued in 1950, and the first credit card appeared. So whether that's true or not, 1950, there's been people being able to use credit cards for at least 50 years, or even 70 if that's true, and there's still cash, there's still gold.
Yeah.
So I still think it's going to be like 50
long.
years before they get rid of credit card. Maybe credit cards will go before like cash. But cash isn't going to go because of the value. There's going to be something that happens in value too. And there's going to be something about the fact of the if you really think about it, like every country in the world has their own currency. Like I wonder if there's going to be a time in the future, whether it's 100 years, that there's just one global currency. And I wonder if there's going to be one global language, or because of technology, languages will be translated automatically for you through
That's what'll
whatever.
happen, yeah. I can
But
see that.
the global currency is also interesting. Like the fact when you go to China or you go anywhere, we had to like exchange our money for their money, and like people are
Unless
just
all
making
of these governments came together, which they won't, that will never happen. There's no way. There's no way.
I just really think that there's a better world that everyone could live in. I think there's enough resources, there's enough money, there's enough good people that the entire world could be educated, could be healthy.
Maybe on Mars. Come
I
on,
don't know.
Elon.
I just think that it's just there's too many people who are power hungry and they want to keep it for themselves, and it's just so crazy to me. But there's definitely abundance that the world could be. But yeah, Mars is going to be really interesting to see what they're going to do there and how long that'll actually take. I think we'll see it in our lifetime. I definitely think we'll see. I mean, it's going to take 3 months to get there.
But that also, too, circles back to what we were talking about earlier, how human behavior is always going to be human behavior. And people are always, it doesn't matter when, people are always going to be hungry for power or money or greed. I mean, we've seen it since humans were a thing. So what's going to change to make it so that that isn't the reality anymore? Human behavior is always going to be that. If you have a group of people stuck on an island, there's going to be the leader. There's going to be that alpha who steps up, and it's just how we work as humans, survival of the fittest.
That's how it will be. It's just allowing an alpha with empathy and who cares about others and who isn't a narcissist to rise to the top. Because if there's enough narcissists together, they're going to manipulate the whole thing. Because I think a lot about our history, that if God forbid something happened to the whole world and the United States was the only thing left on Earth, and Elon Musk is like, well, we're going to Mars, and we had like 30 days to get there and everything was going to be over, depending on who was in charge, who got to Mars, and their political views on what they believe history is and what they want to share,
Right.
they would educate this new planet on what the past used to be. There are some people, if you want to use politics, that are going to say Donald Trump was our king, and that would be what would be taught in the history books. Other people would say he was Hitler, and that would be what was taught if there was no way to verify it.
Right.
So it makes you think about history 10,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 1,000 years ago. Who was passing these stories along, and how true are these stories when we can't even get a true story about anything?
It's telephone all day.
All day long, but in a way that you can't even research back then.
Oof.
2,000 years ago, how did people even, I mean, what?
I know. That's crazy.
So it makes you wonder, like, what made it?
What's real?
Yeah.
What is all
Who
this?
created the story? How many of it's real and how many of it is an exaggeration?
Yep. Because in every situation there is a leader, and a leader shares their beliefs with people who are following them. So all of those people now believe that about whatever this one person is.
Based on the way they communicate and storytell and
Yes.
market their ideas to
Yes.
influence somebody else's mind.
Sell or be sold.
Sell or be sold.
That's what it is.
But I think of things like that,
Yeah.
where I don't look at, like, I don't look at, like I used to as a kid. I felt that I was this like, person in this world that I was like, wow. Like, and once you start learning and researching, you start understanding that someone just made all this up. Like everything, I've said this before, everything in this room was created by somebody.
Yeah.
That was a famous Steve Jobs saying. He goes, everything in this world was created by someone no smarter than yourself.
Yeah.
And so you start realizing that the laws, the inventions, the everything
Yep.
is completely, people just got together and go, this is probably the best, right? And then you just so I don't just play by the rules. I play in a polite society by the rules, but I understand that I can make a huge positive change in the world. Everyone who's listening, you and I, our parents, friends, anybody can literally change the world because there's been people who've come along who've done that.
Of course.
And we don't just have to live in this world that other people created. We can create our
But
own
it
world.
starts
And
with you at home, because if you do it, then your friends start seeing it and they're influenced. Then they're doing what you're doing. Then
Yes.
it's like a ripple effect, and then that's how you get the big scale. Starts
Yes.
with you and your actions. So
and that is the flip-flop of one of the contributing factors to the polarization in our country is people are trying to change the world instead of first changing themselves. Mm-hmm. Like, you are not going to get someone to join your team by being a hateful bully. Mm-mm. There's people on both sides being hateful bullies saying, that side's wrong, we're better, they're all terrible. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't want to be part of anyone's circle who's calling the other side terrible and evil.
yeah.
You're not being inspirational and making me want to join your squad.
Yep.
You have to first clean your porch, then your street, and then the whole world will be clean if everyone did it.
Yep.
So you have to work on yourself, but people don't want to do that.
It's hard.
But it's not marketed to.
No, that's true too.
That's the powers that be, unfortunately, do not push what's best for us.
Because they want control.
There is
They don't want to lose power.
especially in this whole like pandemic too, which is really frustrating. Is Joe Rogan has said this too. He's like, not once has anybody come on and talked about your health. Mm-mm. It's always, anytime there's any airtime, it's like, you got to wear 2 masks. You got to stay away from people. There's never anyone who's like, hey, 2 masks, stay away from people. You got to cut out the fast food. You have to cut out the consumption of alcohol. Cut it down. You need to go and exercise. Let's show you some graphs of exercising. Let's show you some things of how this can help you. Take some vitamin C. Here's a couple things of vitamin D. They can't do that because the people who are funding all of the platforms for them to do that are the fast foods, the pharmaceutical companies. You can't
There you go.
tell people not to eat McDonald's on a global government level
Yep.
when they're the part of the biggest food chain in the world. So no one's telling people how to be healthy.
But that too is why politics is so messy.
You know what's even messier, since this is tax season, that pisses me off? You know, in other countries, some other countries, the government just sends you, I think in Japan, they send you a postcard on tax day. And it goes, this is what you've made. This is what's been reported. This is what we think you owe. If you find this to be correct, sign it and send it back in, and you're done. If you don't think it's correct, then you go and do your taxes in a different way to prove why it's not. 90% of people who work know their taxes.
Yeah.
It's very simple. But the IRS knows. So everyone who sent us our W-9s and all that stuff, or whatever the hell they're called, the IRS got them too. The IRS knows what Freddie Smith made in 2020, but I have to figure it out and pay people to put it in there and see if it's correct.
Yeah.
And if it's not, they come after you and penalize you. But the reason is that all of the TurboTaxes, H&R Blocks,
economy,
are
they want-
multi-billion-dollar companies that are lobbying against that bill ever being passed because they will lose their multi-billion-dollar business. So they care about making money and will spin it in a nice way. Be like, we don't want that to be mistakes. Here at H&R Block, it's $40. You're going to get a professional that's going to help you because we want you to go spend time with your kids. Show a couple with their kids. Spend time, they're in the garden. You don't need to spend time doing taxes. That's our job. That's why we're TurboTax. So join today for free.
Oh my God.
What was that little thing they sped up at the end? Oh, it's only 7 days free. Then they charge you $30 a month.
Yep.
It's just a big scam. It's all a big scam.
What did George Carlin say? The red, white, and blue scam? Is that what he called it?
Yeah. He calls it the, or no, he goes, it's called the American Dream because you have to be asleep to believe it. George Carlin, though, I've been trying to get you to watch him for 10 years, and now I have such more of appreciation because this guy in the early 2000s, late 90s, was literally calling all of this stuff out in a funny way about politicians, about, the list goes on. about big business, about the advertising. And that is the biggest thing to really start thinking about is when you start realizing that everything is marketing and everything is advertising, things start to become more clear where you go, it doesn't necessarily mean what they're saying is truth or a lie. They just care about selling you a narrative that's going to help the people who are making the money. Everything is sales.
Everything.
And it's easier to always say when you're talking about politics, it's easier to talk about because it's very clear that you're up there and you're just selling an idea. There are literally people who are saying this water is the worst. This water is the best. And then here's why. So whoever can sell you better, you'll believe.
Yeah.
But we don't work in a society where they're just like, well, this actually, if you look at all of the ingredients or you look at the process, this one's actually the best because it's better for the environment. It's healthier for you. It serves more jobs. It has like no one's looking at the actual numbers. That's why I enjoyed Andrew Yang. He was the only person, he's not really a politician, that ever came in and goes, I'm the numbers guy. I go, me too. He goes, we have to talk about the country's health, not based on just GDP, but on how many people are graduating high school, how many people are off of substance abuse, how many people are committing suicide, how many people like your country's well-being shouldn't be, and I love money, but it shouldn't be judged on how rich you are. It should be, how are your kids doing in school? How happy are people? How many suicides are down this year? How much substance abuse is down this year? What are the numbers of unemployment? What's the numbers? Like the numbers.
Yep.
The numbers.
Yep.
There's clear numbers, but they're going to hire a scientist to go against it and a scientist on this side to argue, and then you just pick.
Yep.
Do you want scientist Bob or scientist Bill? And if you pick Bill, there's a big group of people that are just like you. If you pick Bob, there's a lot of people just like you. The truth's in the middle. Are we ever going to get there?
Time will tell.
I don't know, but everything's marketing.
Yeah.
Everything's marketing.
Well.
So we went to Disney Springs, and we got the best donut. And I got to see Mickey and a little Cinderella.
No, I'll leave you guys with these words of wisdom from Freddie Smith. When we were in Disney, we got a photo of him in front of a red M&M and a yellow M&M. Do they have names?
No.
And this was what Freddie Smith posted. If Alyssa Tabbitt and I were M&Ms, I'd be the red one. Insert photo.
Did you just give me post-production work? Yes. Now I have to post-production the photo in?
Yes. And I've never seen anything more true because the fact you're wearing a red t-shirt is life. It's perfect. But that is us.
That is us.
Let's leave them with the faces. I'm the yellow.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week.